The Galactic Council sat inside a grand silver chamber that floated above the capital world. The chamber was built like a circle, so every official could see the others without turning too far. Blue lights glowed from the ceiling, and the air was filled with quiet whispers before the meeting began. The officials came from many different species, but they all carried the same badge on their chest that marked them as members of the council. At the center of the chamber stood a large crystal table. It showed a glowing map of the mining world named Orin 5. Red circles blinked across the cliffs and valleys. Each circle marked a point of danger. The danger was not an army, not a fleet, but a single creature. The report called her the Albino dragon. The council leader, an elder with long silver horns, raised his staff and called the meeting to order. Silence filled the chamber. His voice was sharp and heavy as he spoke. This dragon must be destroyed. She threatens the stability of the mining operations on Orin 5. Reports show that her size is larger than most ships. Her wings create storms when she takes flight. Her breath melts steel. She has already claimed a mountain as her nest. This is unacceptable. A tall human official nodded and pressed the table. The image of the dragon appeared in the air, glowing white against the dark background. Her scales were pale as snow. Her eyes were bright gold. Around her body, waves of strange energy shimmered like heat. This is not just an animal, the human official said. It is a danger to our fleets. If it grows stronger, we cannot control the sector. Our decision must be final. Another voice rose, this one from a smaller alien with blue skin and wide eyes. But does the creature attack ships without reason? Or does it only defend its territory? We must ask questions before we destroy a living being. The chamber grew restless. Some agreed with the cautious voice. Others shook their heads. Fear was stronger than curiosity. The leader struck his staff again. We cannot risk waiting. If we wait, it may breed, and then there will be more. Already one hatchling is reported near the nest. If we allow this to continue, Orin 5 will be lost. Our duty is to protect trade, protect resources, and protect order. The image of the hatchling appeared next to the mother dragon. It was small, glowing faintly, but still carried wings and claws. The officials murmured. A hatchling meant the problem would only grow. The leader raised his hand. We vote now. Every official placed a hand on their badge. The chamber filled with the sound of soft chimes. Green lights meant agreement. Red lights meant refusal. One by one, the badges glowed. Green lights spread across the circle until almost every official was marked with approval. Only 2 badges glowed red, belonging to the voices who had asked for patience. The decision was clear. The vote was final. The albino dragon is to be destroyed, the leader announced. His voice echoed across the chamber. And with it, the hatchling as well. The fleets will launch tomorrow. We end this before it begins. The crystal table shifted to show fleets being prepared. Dozens of ships were lined up in hangars, their silver hulls gleaming. Heavy bombers were loaded with fire charges designed to burn through rock and scale. Patrol ships stood ready to surround the mountain. The council ordered that no trace of the dragon remain when the mission was complete. Far away, on Orin 5, the dragon mother lay in her nest on the high cliffs. Her pale wings stretched out as she shielded her single hatchling. She felt a deep stirring in the air, as if storms were gathering far beyond her sight. Her golden eyes narrowed as she looked at the sky. She had lived long enough to sense when enemies moved against her. The hatchling chirped softly, pressing close to her. The mother lowered her head and breathed warm air over the small body. She was not a monster. She was not a destroyer. She was a guardian of her kind, and her kind was almost gone. But the council, far away in their shining chamber, did not see her heart. They saw only power and danger. Back in the chamber, the two officials who had voted red spoke once more. "You are making a mistake," the blue-skinned alien said firmly. "This dragon may not be a threat if we study it. We know nothing about her energy field. It may hold secrets that could help us all." But the leader dismissed the concern. "We do not have the time for study. The order is final." Guards entered the chamber to ensure the vote could not be changed. The meeting ended with heavy footsteps and silent faces. The majority walked away without looking back, certain they had chosen safety. Only the two who had refused the vote stayed behind, staring at the image of the pale dragon fading from the table. "Sometimes," the blue-skinned official whispered, "fear makes us blind." The words were lost in the empty hall. That night, across the stars, the fleets prepared. Pilots strapped themselves into their seats. Bomb bays closed with heavy clangs. Engines roared to life. On Oran 5, miners were ordered to evacuate from the cliffs. Alarms echoed through the valleys. The order of destruction had set everything in motion. The albino dragon, unaware of the exact threat but aware of the coming storm, lifted her wings. She held her hatchling close beneath her chest. She would fight if she must. She would endure if she could. She would not surrender easily. And so the first spark of conflict was lit. Not by the dragon's choice, but by the council's fear. Humanity's role in this story had not yet appeared, but soon, one human would rise to change everything. The sky above Oran 5 burned with light. Dozens of ships thundered down from orbit, their engines leaving trails of fire that cut across the dark clouds. Miners had already fled from the valleys, leaving the mountain cliffs silent except for the roar of the incoming fleet. The council had sent everything needed to destroy the dragon mother and her nest. At the highest peak, the albino dragon raised her head. Her pale wings stretched wide, catching the glow of the fires above. Her golden eyes fixed on the sky as the first bombs dropped. The ground shook as explosions tore across the lower cliffs. Rock crumbled, trees shattered, and smoke rose in heavy columns. The hatchling pressed against her chest. Its scales were pale like hers, though smaller and softer. It chirped in fear as the mountain trembled. The mother lowered her wings, wrapping them around the little one, trying to shield it from falling stone. Bombers circled above. They dropped fire charges that streaked downward like comets. The blasts shook the nest, sending cracks through the cliffside. The albino dragon leapt into the air, her mighty wings beating against the storm of fire. She roared, and her roar shook the sky itself. She struck one of the patrol ships with her tail, sending it spiraling into the ground. Another ship came too close, and she lashed it with her breath. The white flame melted through the hull until it burst apart in a ball of sparks. For a moment, it seemed she could hold her ground against the attackers. But the council had planned carefully. More ships arrived, releasing nets of energy that tangled around her wings. She fought hard, tearing some apart, but the weight grew too heavy. The bombs continued to fall, striking the cliffs and loosening the stone. A massive blast struck beneath her, shaking the mountain to its roots. The mother dragon fell back toward the nest. Rock broke free from the cliffs, tumbling down in great slabs. Dust and fire filled the air. She shielded the hatchling once more, curling around it as stone rained from above. The hatchling cried out, its small voice piercing through the thunder. A final blast struck near the peak. The mountain groaned and split, sending boulders crashing down. The albino dragon was pinned beneath the rubble. Her wings were trapped, her body pressed against the broken stone. Pain filled her golden eyes, but still she turned her head toward the hatchling. With the last of her strength, she nudged the small dragon toward a narrow crack in the rock. The hatchling hesitated. It did not want to leave its mother. But the mother's eyes were firm. She gave a final push with her snout, guiding the little one into the opening. The hatchling squeezed through just as another explosion shook the peak. The small dragon tumbled down a hidden path, sliding through dust and ash until it reached a lower valley. It coughed out smoke and looked back. The sky above was filled with fire. Ships swarmed like metal insects, circling the mountain. The hatchling chirped, calling for its mother, but no answer came. Fear pressed on its tiny heart, yet instinct pushed it forward. It spread its small wings and took flight. The air was rough with heat and falling debris, but the hatchling darted between the chaos. Its pale body glowed faintly against the darkness, like a spark refusing to die. The hatchling flew for hours. Its wings grew tired, and its stomach ached with hunger. Still, it pressed on, guided by something it could not explain. Far beyond the mining cliffs, past the fires of the council fleet, a lone human patrol ship drifted on the edge of the sector. It was small compared to the great bombers, painted with simple stripes of blue and white. Inside that ship worked a human medic named Myra. Myra sat in the medical bay, checking her supplies. She had no weapons, only scanners, healing kits, and tools for tending to wounds. Her duty was to rescue miners who might be hurt during the council operation. She disliked this mission because she did not believe every problem could be solved with destruction. But she was just a medic, and her voice did not matter to the council. As she worked, alarms sounded across her ship. The sensors had detected something approaching fast. Myra hurried to the hangar and stared in shock as a small white shape darted through the shields. The creature crashed onto the floor, wings trembling, body scratched and burned. It was the hatchling. For a moment, Myra froze. The council had declared dragons dangerous. She should call the patrol team at once. But when she looked at the little dragon, she did not see a monster. She saw a frightened child, crying out in weak chirps as it struggled to stand. Myra slowly knelt down. Her voice was soft, gentle, the same voice she used when calming injured miners. "It's all right. I'm not going to hurt you." The hatchling looked at her with glowing golden eyes. It tilted its head, as if it could understand her tone. Then it stepped closer, collapsing against her boots. Myra carefully touched its scales. They were warm and trembling. She could feel its rapid heartbeat beneath her hand. She quickly carried the hatchling to the medical table and began cleaning its wounds. The little one watched her with trust, even though it had every reason to fear. When she wrapped a band around its wing, the hatchling chirped softly, as if thanking her. Then something strange happened. The hatchling climbed off the table and pulled gently at her sleeve with its small claws. It tugged toward the hangar doors. Myra frowned. "You want me to follow?" she asked. The hatchling chirped again and spread its wings, even though it was weak. It pointed its nose toward the burning sky outside. Myra realized the truth. It was leading her somewhere. She thought of the reports. The council wanted the dragon destroyed. That meant the mother was still out there, trapped and dying under the attack. Myra looked at the small creature beside her. She knew she could not ignore this. She was a medic, sworn to save life, not choose which life mattered more. She packed her medical kit, fastened her jacket, and followed the hatchling into the unknown night. Myra guided her small ship through the smoke-filled skies of Oran 5. The hatchling sat beside her on the co-pilot's seat, its golden eyes wide as it watched the burning mountains ahead. Every so often it chirped and tapped the glass with its claw, as if urging her to fly faster. Myra's hands were steady on the controls, but inside she felt torn. She knew the council had ordered every dragon destroyed. If she was caught helping one, she would lose her career, her license, and perhaps her freedom. Yet when she looked at the small creature beside her, she felt no fear. She saw only a child searching for its mother. The ship shook as they passed through pockets of turbulence left by the bombers. Explosions still rang in the distance, though the main assault seemed to be slowing. Myra whispered to herself, "Hold together, little ship. Just hold together a bit longer." The hatchling turned its head and looked at her. It made a soft sound, almost like comfort. Myra gave it a faint smile. "Don't worry. I'll get you to her." They reached the valley where the cliffs had collapsed. Smoke rose in thick black streams. The ground was covered with broken stone. Myra set the ship down on a flat stretch of earth and opened the hatch. Heat rushed in, carrying the smell of fire and ash. The hatchling leapt to the ground and ran ahead, its wings dragging slightly behind. Myra followed close, her medical kit slung across her shoulder. The path was difficult, filled with rubble and sharp edges, but the little dragon moved quickly, guided by instinct. At last they reached the base of a broken cliff. There, beneath piles of heavy stone, lay the albino dragon. Her body was pinned under slabs of rock. Her wings were torn, and her golden eyes flickered weakly. She was alive, but her strength was fading. The hatchling cried out and pressed itself against her snout. The mother dragon turned her head slightly, enough to nuzzle her child. A low rumble came from her chest, a sound of pain mixed with relief. Myra froze for a moment. The size of the mother dragon overwhelmed her. Even trapped, she was vast, her scales gleaming faintly through the dust. One breath from her lungs stirred the air like a strong wind. Myra knew one wrong move could end her life. But then the dragon's gaze shifted to her. Golden eyes met human eyes. Myra expected anger, perhaps even flame, but she saw something different. She saw a plea. Myra swallowed hard and stepped closer. "I'm here to help," she said softly, even though she was unsure if the creature could understand. She set her kit on the ground and pulled out a scanner. The hatchling stayed close to her side, chirping as if telling its mother to trust. The scanner showed deep injuries. Bones cracked, muscles torn, burns across the wings. Worst of all, the weight of the stone pressed against the dragon's chest, making it hard for her to breathe. Myra knew she could not move the rocks alone, but she could at least ease the pain and stop the bleeding. She opened her kit and began her work. Carefully, she applied healing foam to the burns. The foam hissed and cooled the scorched scales. She injected a dose of stabilizing serum into the thick skin, using the largest needle she carried. She cleaned the wounds as best she could, though each movement felt small compared to the size of the creature. The mother dragon let out a slow rumble. Myra could not tell if it was approval or warning, but she continued anyway. Her hands moved with steady purpose. She had treated miners crushed by cave-ins, pilots burned in crashes, workers poisoned by gas. Now she treated a dragon, and to her it was no different. Life was life. As the hours passed, Myra worked tirelessly. The hatchling rested against her when she paused, as if sharing its small warmth to keep her going. At times the mother dragon closed her eyes, but when Myra touched her wounds she opened them again, watching the human with careful patience. At one point, Myra spoke softly, more to herself than to the dragon. "They think you are a monster. They think destroying you is the only way to keep order. But I see you. You're a mother trying to protect your child. That doesn't make you a monster. That makes you alive." The hatchling chirped in agreement, almost as if it understood her words. The mother dragon breathed out a soft gust of warm air, not fire, but something close to gratitude. Still, the rocks that pinned her down remained. Myra tried using tools from her kit, but they were too heavy. She knew she would need help. Perhaps her ship could pull some away with its small grapples. But time was short. The council soldiers would be searching soon. Myra pressed her hand against the dragon's scales. "I can't promise to free you tonight, but I will not leave you. I'll do everything I can." The dragon blinked slowly. In her golden eyes, Myra saw trust forming, fragile but real. Suddenly, a noise echoed through the valley. Engines. Myra looked up and saw lights in the sky. Patrol ships were sweeping the area, searching for survivors of the attack. The hatchling pressed close to her leg, trembling. The mother dragon gave a weak growl, but she could not rise. Myra clenched her fists. If the soldiers found her here, they would kill the dragon, seize the hatchling, and arrest her for treason. But she was not afraid. She stood tall, her medical kit still open beside her. She would not run. The first patrol ship descended, its lights cutting through the smoke. A voice echoed from loudspeakers. "Step away from the creature. By order of the council, the dragon is condemned. Anyone aiding it will face charges." Myra looked back at the mother dragon. She looked down at the hatchling. Then she raised her chin toward the sky. "I am a medic," she shouted. "I do not destroy life. I save it. If you want me to step away, you will have to drag me." The hatchling chirped loudly, spreading its small wings. The mother dragon lifted her head, weak but defiant. For the first time since the attack began, the valley was not filled with fear, but with courage. Myra stood between the council soldiers and the wounded dragon, ready to defend life with nothing but her oath and her will. The patrol ship hovered above the broken valley, its bright beams cutting through the smoke and dust. Soldiers stood ready at the edges of the hatch, rifles gleaming under the light. Their orders were clear: destroy the dragon and capture anyone who interfered. Myra kept her place beside the albino dragon. The hatchling clung to her leg, wings spread wide though they trembled with fear. The mother dragon tried to lift her head higher, but the weight of stone pinned her chest and wings. She could only growl weakly, a sound that rumbled like distant thunder. "Medic Myra," the voice from the loudspeaker called. "We know you are there. Step away from the creature. Your duty is with the council, not with this beast." Myra's heart pounded, but she stood firm. "My duty is to life," she answered loudly. Her voice shook, yet it carried across the valley. "I will not abandon a wounded being, no matter what order you give." The soldiers whispered among themselves. Some shifted uneasily. They had trained to fight, not to aim their weapons at a medic. But the captain barked another command. "Prepare to fire. The council's order is final." Myra clenched her fists. She had no weapon, no shield, only her oath and her determination. She looked at the hatchling, who pressed closer to her side, and then at the mother dragon, whose golden eyes burned with silent pleading. She could not let them die. She made a quick decision. "Stay with me," she whispered to the hatchling, and then she darted toward her ship. The hatchling followed at once, its claws scraping against the stone. The soldiers, caught off guard, hesitated to shoot. Myra reached her ship and powered up the engines. The soldiers shouted. The patrol ship aimed its cannons, but Myra lifted off quickly, turning her ship toward the pile of rubble that trapped the dragon. She activated the grappling arm's small but strong cables used for mining rescues and fired them into the broken stone. The hooks clamped down on the slabs above the dragon's wing. Her ship strained as the engines roared. The grapples pulled, and slowly the heavy rocks began to shift. The mother dragon growled, sensing freedom. Dust and stone rained down as Myra's ship dragged one of the largest slabs away from her chest. "Stop," the patrol captain ordered. "You are violating council law." Myra ignored him. She pulled another lever, releasing a second grapple. Her ship shook violently under the strain, but she forced it to keep going. The rocks cracked and slid free. The mother dragon stretched her wings slightly, gasping for breath. The hatchling chirped loudly and nuzzled against its mother's face. Myra felt tears sting her eyes, but she kept working, pulling away stone after stone until the dragon's upper body was mostly free. Then the soldiers opened fire. Blasts struck the ground near Myra's ship, shaking the hull. Warning alarms flashed red across her screen. She bit her lip and pushed the engines harder. She had no time for fear. The mother dragon, though still weak, lifted her head and roared. The sound blasted across the valley, shaking the air. The patrol ship wavered in its flight path. Some soldiers stumbled back, their courage shaken. With a final pull, Myra's ship tore away the last heavy slab that pinned the dragon's chest. The albino dragon heaved in a deep breath, her golden eyes shining brighter. She was not free yet, her wings were still damaged, her body bleeding, but she was alive and no longer trapped. Myra landed her ship again and ran back to the dragon's side. "You're not alone," she whispered. She sprayed healing foam across the new wounds revealed by the fallen stones. The dragon shuddered but did not resist. The hatchling climbed onto Myra's shoulder, watching her every move as if it trusted her completely. The patrol captain shouted again. "You cannot protect it, Myra. Even if you free it, the council will send more ships. You are throwing away your life for a creature that cannot survive." Myra stood tall, facing the soldiers across the valley. "You are wrong," she said firmly. "She can survive. And she can protect us in ways you do not understand. If the council refuses to see it, then I will show the truth myself." The mother dragon lowered her head slightly toward Myra, as if bowing in silent agreement. Her golden eyes glowed with a strange light. For a moment, Myra felt as though the creature understood her words. The soldiers aimed their rifles again, but none fired. The sight before them was powerful, the small human medic standing fearlessly beside a massive dragon, the hatchling perched at her shoulder, the air filled with smoke and courage. To shoot would feel like more than following orders. It would feel like silencing truth. The captain, angered by their hesitation, shouted again. But before he could give another order, the ground trembled. The mountain behind them groaned, weakened by all the bombing. Large sections of rock began to collapse. Dust and debris filled the air as the valley shook. The soldiers scrambled to retreat toward their ship. Myra shielded the hatchling and held her ground. The mother dragon, though weak, lifted her head higher and let out a roar that echoed across the collapsing cliffs. It was a roar not of rage, but of survival. When the dust began to settle, the patrol ship had pulled back. The soldiers had retreated to the skies. The valley was broken, but Myra, the mother dragon, and the hatchling still remained. Myra sank to her knees, exhausted. She looked up at the dragon and whispered, "We're not safe yet. But you are alive. That is enough for today." The hatchling curled into her lap, trembling but comforted. The mother dragon lowered her head until it rested close to them, her golden eyes soft. She exhaled a warm breath over Myra, not fire, just air filled with trust. Myra placed her hand against the dragon's pale scales. "I will not leave you," she promised. The stars above glittered faintly through the smoke. The council had ordered destruction, but against all odds, a forbidden rescue had begun. One human had chosen life over law, and that choice would soon echo across the galaxy. The sky above Orin 5 was filled with the hum of engines. Galactic patrol ships swarmed over the cliffs, their searchlights cutting through smoke and ash. Soldiers had been sent to find the human medic who had dared to disobey the council. Myra's small ship hovered among the rocks, keeping low to avoid detection. The hatchling sat perched on her shoulder, its tiny wings fluttering nervously. Myra's heart pounded as she scanned the valley. The mother dragon rested beneath a collapsed cliff, her wings weak and bleeding from the previous attack. The fires from the council's bombing still glowed in the distance, sending streaks of orange into the sky. Myra knew they could not stay here long. The patrols would return, and if they found the dragon, it would be the end of her rescue mission. "Stay close," Myra whispered to the hatchling. "We have to move carefully." The hatchling chirped softly in response. Its golden eyes glimmered with determination, almost as if it understood the urgency of the situation. Myra gently lifted the small dragon into her arms and approached the mother. She placed her hands on the dragon's injured wing, applying more healing foam. The dragon flinched but did not move away. Myra could feel the creature's trust growing, fragile but real. Suddenly, the sensors on Myra's ship beeped loudly. Patrol ships were descending quickly from above, their weapons ready. She glanced at the readout and counted at least 4 ships in pursuit. Myra's stomach tightened. They were outnumbered and outgunned. There was no room for error. Myra spoke softly, more to herself than anyone else. "We have to get out of here. Hold on, both of you." She carefully lifted the dragon hatchling and ran toward her ship, glancing at the mother dragon. The creature stirred, attempting to rise despite her injuries. Myra knew that if they could free her, the journey ahead would be easier. The patrols spotted them and fired warning blasts. Rocks shattered around Myra's feet, sending dust into the air. The hatchling screeched, gripping tightly to her arm. Myra felt the heat of the blasts but moved steadily, avoiding the worst of the debris. She reached her ship, slid inside, and secured the hatchling. The mother dragon watched her human with cautious hope. Myra activated the ship's small grapples, aiming toward the rocks that pinned the dragon. The alien engines hummed with power, and she pulled the large slabs away from the mother. She worked quickly, knowing every second counted. The first patrol ship descended closer. "Step away from the creature, human," a voice shouted from loudspeakers. "The council's orders are final. You will be detained if you interfere." Myra shook her head and gripped the controls tightly. "I will not abandon life. Not now, not ever." The grapples strained under the weight of the massive stones. Myra adjusted the angles, dragging the rocks free. The mother dragon lifted her head slowly, sensing the relief. She could not rise yet, but the pressure on her chest had lessened. Myra applied more healing foam to the new wounds exposed by the shifting debris. The patrols fired again, striking the ground near her ship. The explosions shook the hull, and sparks flew from the engines. Myra's hands worked with precision, steady despite the chaos. She glanced at the hatchling, whose small claws dug into her arm, frightened but trusting. The mother dragon growled softly, a low rumble that vibrated through the valley. Myra understood it as gratitude, mixed with warning. She knew the creature could not fight now, but if cornered, she would. Myra spoke to her gently. "We will get you out of this. I promise." Suddenly, the patrol captain ordered a full assault. 4 ships moved into attack formation, their weapons glowing ominously. Myra's small vessel was no match for them in speed or firepower. She had to think quickly. She activated the ship's stealth mode, lowering the shields temporarily to reduce energy output. The craft blended into the smoke-filled air, making it harder to detect. The patrol ships hesitated, scanning the area for movement. Myra knew she had a small window. "Follow me," she whispered to the hatchling. "We have to draw them away from the mother." She maneuvered the ship through narrow canyons, weaving between rock formations. The patrols followed cautiously, their larger ships unable to navigate the tight paths quickly. Myra's heart pounded as she pushed the engines to the limit. She could feel every tremor of the ship beneath her hands. Back in the valley, the mother dragon stirred. With the immediate danger temporarily diverted, she tried to lift her wings. Pain seared through her muscles, but she could move. The hatchling chirped loudly, encouraging its mother. The dragon responded with a weak but determined flap, rising slightly off the ground. Myra looked back through the sensors. The patrol ships had broken formation, focusing on her small craft. She saw the mother dragon beginning to crawl toward an open ridge. The hatchling leapt from her shoulder and ran to guide her. Myra's mind raced. If they could reach the ridge, the mother could potentially fly again, giving them all a chance to escape. She adjusted her course and fired small rescue cables toward the dragon. The mother dragon gripped the cables with her claws, and Myra carefully pulled her toward the open space. One patrol ship realized the plan and opened fire directly at the dragon. Sparks and flames shot through the air, but Myra maneuvered her ship to absorb the impact with the grapples. The mother dragon flinched but did not fall. Her golden eyes burned with resolve, and she pressed forward, guided by the hatchling. Myra shouted encouragement, though the sound was lost in the roaring engines. "You can do it. Just a little more." The dragon's wings finally caught a strong updraft near the ridge. With a powerful push, she lifted slightly off the ground, dragging the last of the cables with her. The hatchling fluttered alongside, chirping joyfully. Myra adjusted her ship to fly beside them, careful not to disturb their fragile flight. The patrol ships hesitated, unsure if they could attack without endangering themselves. Myra took a deep breath. She had bought enough time. The mother dragon, weak but alive, had begun the journey to escape the immediate threat. The valley below was silent again except for the distant hum of patrol engines. Myra leaned back in her seat, exhaustion pressing against her body. She looked at the hatchling perched on her shoulder. "We're not out of danger," she said quietly. "But we made it through the first fight." The mother dragon glided toward a hidden canyon, wings trembling but strong enough to carry her. The hatchling followed closely. Myra's ship hovered behind, ready to guide them further. For the first time, all 3 of them felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. The pursuit was not over. The council would send more ships. Soldiers would continue to hunt them. But in that moment, the human medic, the albino dragon, and her hatchling had proven something powerful. Life was worth protecting, even against the fear and orders of the mighty council. Myra tightened her grip on the controls. "We will find safety," she whispered. "And we will survive, together." The small human ship followed the albino dragon and her hatchling through a narrow canyon far from the burning cliffs of Oran 5. The air smelled of smoke and crushed stone, but the path was safer than the open sky. Myra adjusted the ship's sensors, scanning for any signs of patrol ships. She kept one hand on the hatchling, who chirped softly as if sensing the relief in the moment. The mother dragon moved slowly, her wings weak but steady. Every flap caused a ripple of pain, but she pressed on. Myra's heart ached to see the creature suffer. She had treated many injuries in her life, but nothing compared to the size and resilience of this dragon. "We have to find a place to rest," Myra whispered to herself. "Somewhere safe, away from the council." The canyon opened into a hidden valley, surrounded by cliffs and covered in thick forests. The patrol ships above could not see it easily, and the air currents made it perfect for hiding. Myra guided her ship gently to the forest floor. The mother dragon landed nearby, trembling as she lowered herself to the ground. The hatchling ran to her side, pressing close for comfort. Myra stepped out carefully, holding her medical kit. She approached the mother dragon, who flinched but did not move away. The dragon's golden eyes studied her. Myra opened the scanner she had brought, pressing it gently against the dragon's chest. The readings surprised her. The dragon's energy field was not destructive. In fact, it absorbed cosmic radiation that could harm living beings. Her scales acted like a shield, protecting anyone near her from dangerous particles. Myra's mind raced. If the council knew this, they would see the dragon not as a threat, but as a protector. The hatchling chirped, and Myra realized the young dragon sensed her discovery. "Yes," she said softly. "You are not a monster. You are a guardian." She turned the scanner to record the data. Myra knew she had to send this evidence across the galaxy. The council had made a grave mistake, and the truth could change everything. She had no time to waste. As she worked, the mother dragon lowered her wings slightly. Myra could see the pain in every movement, yet there was a calm in her posture. She was aware that help had arrived, that someone cared. The hatchling ran along her wing, chirping encouragement. Myra felt the bond between the dragons and herself grow stronger. Suddenly, a faint sound reached the valley. Engines. Patrol ships were still searching. Myra's hands moved quickly as she finished scanning the dragon. She connected her communicator and sent the data directly to several independent stations across the galaxy. The evidence included the dragon's energy readings, her location, and the story of the attack. The patrols arrived moments later, spotting the hidden valley. They hovered above, weapons ready. Myra stepped forward, holding her kit like a shield. "Stop," she shouted. "You have no right to attack. This dragon is not dangerous. She protects life. I have proof." The soldiers hesitated, looking at the small human standing firm in front of a massive albino dragon. The hatchling chirped loudly, as if adding its own voice to the plea. The mother dragon lifted her head slightly, golden eyes fixed on the soldiers. Her energy field shimmered faintly, making the air around her seem warmer and calmer. One soldier spoke through the communicator. "Medic, we do not know if your claims are true. You must step aside." Myra shook her head. "I am a medic. My duty is to protect life, not destroy it." You can follow orders blindly, but I will follow truth. The council has made a mistake. This dragon is not a threat. She is a guardian. You can see it or you can ignore it, but I will not leave. The patrol ships hovered, scanning the dragon again. Sensors picked up the energy field. The soldiers' instruments showed what Myra had discovered: the dragon absorbed harmful radiation, shielding the valley from danger. One by one, their weapons were lowered. Myra realized they could not act against what they could now see as a truth they could not deny. The mother dragon rose slightly, testing her wings. She flapped carefully, gaining height with each movement. The hatchling followed, mimicking every motion. Myra stayed close, her ship ready to guide them if needed. The soldiers transmitted a report back to the council, but their voices were uncertain. "We do not understand it fully," one said. "But the dragon is not a threat. The human medic is correct. We cannot attack." Myra smiled faintly, though she was exhausted. The first step of change had begun. She knelt beside the mother dragon, touching her scales gently. "You can survive," she whispered. "You will survive, and soon, everyone will know the truth." The hatchling chirped, hopping onto Myra's shoulder. It had grown attached to her in a matter of hours. Myra felt the weight of responsibility, but also the strength that came from making the right choice. The dragons trusted her. She could not fail them. The mother dragon tested her wings again. Sparks of energy shimmered along her pale scales as she absorbed the radiation from the surrounding valley. Myra could feel the protective warmth radiating from her. "It's working," she whispered. "You can heal, and you can protect." Above them, the patrol ships hovered uncertainly. They were trained to obey the council, yet here was evidence they could not ignore. The galaxy had been told dragons were dangerous, but now one human had proven otherwise. Courage and intelligence, not orders, had revealed the truth. Myra recorded more data, carefully noting the dragon's condition, her energy field, and the responses of the hatchling. She would send this to every station she could reach. Soon, the citizens of the galaxy would understand. The mother dragon spread her wings fully for the first time since the attack. Her muscles were still weak, but she could lift herself higher than the cliffs. The hatchling followed closely, matching her movements. Myra guided her ship alongside, ready to assist in case the mother faltered. The valley was quiet now. Patrol ships had withdrawn slightly, unsure how to proceed. The soldiers could see the power and life of the dragons, yet they were bound by fear of disobeying orders. Myra knew the truth could change their minds, but she had to ensure it reached the right people. Finally, she transmitted the full report to independent colonies and news stations, including images, scans, and her account of the rescue. She knew the council would try to suppress it, but the information was already out. Citizens would see the proof, and soon the narrative of fear and destruction would shift. The mother dragon lowered herself near Myra, breathing gently. Her golden eyes shone with gratitude. The hatchling chirped happily, circling around Myra's head. Myra smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment she had never known. They had survived the first danger, and they had revealed the truth. In that hidden valley, away from orders, smoke, and fire, the human medic and the dragon stood together. Life had been defended, courage had prevailed, and truth had been revealed. The council's mistake was exposed, and soon the galaxy would remember that humans could stand up for life, even against the most powerful authority. Myra placed a hand on the mother dragon's neck. "Rest now," she whispered. "You are safe." The truth is on our side. The mother dragon lowered her wings and closed her eyes. The hatchling nestled beside her. Myra looked to the sky, thinking of the battles still to come, but she felt hope for the first time. The journey was far from over, but they had taken a crucial step toward survival and justice. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. Citizens saw the images, the data, and Myra's report. The albino dragon was not a threat. Her energy shield absorbed dangerous cosmic radiation, protecting life instead of harming it. The Council's orders to destroy her were revealed as a mistake. Everywhere, people discussed the courage of a human medic who had saved a creature the officials had called dangerous. Myra prepared her small ship for departure. The mother dragon had rested and regained some strength. Her wings stretched fully, though they were still healing. The hatchling chirped happily, circling around Myra as if urging her to come along. Together, they had survived the Council's attack and shown the galaxy the truth. Outside the hidden valley, patrol ships were still circling cautiously. They had been ordered to return the dragons to the Council, but the evidence could not be denied. Sensors confirmed that the mother dragon posed no threat. Some soldiers lowered their weapons, unsure whether to follow orders or trust the evidence before them. Myra stood beside the dragon. She placed her hand gently on the pale scales. "You are free now," she whispered. "The galaxy knows your truth. You do not need to hide anymore." The hatchling chirped, hopping onto her shoulder. Myra smiled and adjusted her ship. She knew the dragons could fly, but she wanted to guide them safely through the open skies. Together, they took off, the dragon lifting above the valley while Myra followed closely. The hatchling flew beside the human ship, chirping as they moved toward the stars. The Council had tried to suppress the news, but it had already reached millions of citizens. People began questioning the Council's judgment. Debates erupted in colonies and cities across planets. Was it right to destroy life without understanding it? Could humans act with more wisdom than the ruling officials? Slowly, the citizens' voices grew louder, demanding a new perspective on life and authority. The mother dragon soared higher. Her wings beat powerfully, lifting her above the clouds. The hatchling followed, now learning to maneuver through the winds with growing skill. Myra guided her ship beside them, adjusting speed and altitude to match their movements. She felt pride in what they had achieved together. They had survived danger, defended life, and revealed the truth to an entire galaxy. In one distant colony, a group of civilians gathered to watch the broadcasts. They had been told dragons were dangerous and must be destroyed. Now they saw the dragon's energy field, her motherly care, and the courage of Myra. They whispered to each other, realizing that a single human had stood for life and shown that authority could be challenged for the right reasons. Back in orbit above Orion 5, the Council struggled to maintain control. Orders had been given, but the citizens and independent stations now questioned their judgment. The Council realized that trying to enforce destruction against truth would only weaken their authority. Myra's evidence and bravery had changed the galaxy's perspective. The mother dragon circled the human ship, lowering her head to Myra. She emitted a low, warm rumble. Myra felt it as gratitude and recognition. The bond between human and dragon had grown stronger than any fear or rule. The hatchling chirped excitedly, nudging Myra's shoulder. It had found a friend and ally for life. Myra looked ahead to the stars. "We will travel safely now," she said softly. "No one will harm you again." The mother dragon responded with a gentle flap of her wings, rising higher and stronger. Myra's ship stayed close, the hatchling guiding her along. The citizens of the galaxy began to act. Some sent messages to the council, demanding that dragons and other misunderstood creatures be protected. Scientists and explorers began to study the albino dragon, discovering ways her energy field could help colonies shield themselves from dangerous cosmic storms. Myra's single act of courage had sparked a wave of compassion and intelligence. The council, though reluctant, had no choice but to acknowledge the truth. They could not deny the evidence or ignore the public outcry. The order to destroy the dragon was rescinded. Patrols were recalled. Myra had proven that humanity could act with wisdom and courage, even in the face of authority. In the Hidden Valley, a few weeks later, the mother dragon and her hatchling rested in safety. Myra visited them often, bringing supplies and checking on their recovery. Each visit strengthened the bond between human and dragons. The hatchling chirped with excitement every time Myra approached, and the mother dragon allowed her to examine her wings and scales without fear. Myra thought of the council and the orders they had given. She realized that rules and power were not enough to protect life. Only courage, intelligence, and compassion could do that. Humanity had a role to play as defenders of the voiceless, and she had proven it. The mother dragon rose from the valley one morning, wings fully healed. The hatchling followed, flapping strongly beside her. Myra's ship flew beside them. The three of them rose above the mountains, past clouds and storms, and into the clear blue of space. The galaxy seemed vast and full of possibilities. Myra knew this was only the beginning. The dragons would travel freely, guiding humans and other species with their protective energy. Her actions had inspired a movement of life defenders across colonies. People began to question harmful orders, protect the innocent, and value wisdom above fear. The hatchling chirped and circled Myra's ship. She laughed softly, feeling hope and joy. The mother dragon flapped powerfully, lifting them higher toward the stars. Together, they soared through the galaxy as symbols of courage, life, and truth. Citizens would remember Myra, a single human who had chosen to save life against overwhelming odds. The mother dragon and her hatchling would be remembered as guardians, not monsters. The galaxy had seen that when humanity stood for what was right, it could change the course of events, protect life, and inspire hope. Myra looked to the horizon, knowing that challenges would come, but also knowing that life, courage, and truth would always endure. Humanity had made a choice, and the galaxy had witnessed it. As the stars stretched ahead, the mother dragon, her hatchling, and Myra flew together, united in purpose. The choice to defend life had been made, and the galaxy would never forget that a single human medic could change everything.